I'm the nightmare of every pick-me girl, Part 2. The eldest brother looked deep into my eyes, let out a sigh, and said, "Don't hide it from me anymore. This morning, I heard your voice in my head very clearly. You said the car's brakes were cut. I just had someone perform a secret inspection, and indeed the brake lines had been tampered with. They would have snapped the moment I hit high speeds. If it weren't for your warning, I might have become a disabled person this afternoon." Hearing him speak made me shudder. I didn't expect him to believe me and act so quickly. I decided to stop playing dumb. I looked at him and said seriously, "Brother Alexander, I don't know why you can hear me, but everything I think is the truth. Father is not the man we thought he was. He brought Nina here to steal all of Mum's and our assets. He wants to eliminate you because you are the biggest obstacle in his path. Do you believe me?" Alexander clenched his fists, the blue veins bulging on the back of his hands. He gritted his teeth and said, "I believe you. All these years I thought he was just power-hungry. I never imagined he could be so cold-blooded toward his own flesh and blood. Fine, if he wants to play, I'll play to the end. I will still take that car this afternoon." I panicked and tried to stop him, but he raised his hand to reassure me. "Rest assured, I'll have someone swap the car. I'll use another one that looks identical but is safe. I want to see how he wears that hypocritical mask of morality when he hears the news of my accident." The eldest brother's plan was truly risky, but also incredibly clever. That afternoon, the news of CEO Alexander Miller being involved in a serious traffic accident on the highway spread with dizzying speed. The entire Miller household was in a frenzy. My mother fainted on the spot upon hearing the news because she didn't know the eldest brother's plan yet. My second brother and I had to support her onto the sofa, applying medicinal oil while whispering into her ear, "Mum, stay calm. Big brother is faking it. Don't worry. Wake up so we can watch the show." Hearing my inner voice, my mother slowly opened her eyes. She squeezed my hand, signaling that she understood, and then began to wail piteously, "My son, oh my son, why is your fate so miserable?" Only then did Livius rush back from the company, his clothes disheveled and his face showing extreme panic. He lunged into the house and embraced my mother, howling, "Victoria, how is our son? How did this happen? My God." However, I noticed the corners of his mouth twitching slightly upward. His eyes held no trace of sorrow, but rather a sense of triumph. He turned to Nina, who was standing nearby faking tears, and said, "Quickly call the private doctor here and prepare the car to take the whole family to the hospital. I must go see the boy's condition immediately." At the city's most elite private hospital, Alexander lay on the hospital bed, his legs in stark white casts, his head wrapped in bandages, and his eyes tightly shut as if in a deep coma. The doctor walked out, shook his head, and told the family that the young master's condition was critical. Although his life was saved, his legs were unlikely to recover, and he might have to use a wheelchair for the rest of his life. Hearing this, Livius collapsed to the ground, thumping his chest and wailing, "My son, father failed you, father couldn't protect you." But in his heart, he was celebrating. He thought it was over. His talented son was eliminated, and from now on, the power in the company would belong to him. He would bring Nina in as an assistant, and gradually seize everything. He stood up, wiped his tears, and patted my mother's shoulder to comfort her. "Don't be too heartbroken. As long as there is life, there is hope. If Alexander can't walk, there's still me, Julian, and Nina. We will shoulder the company for him together." My mother buried her head in my shoulder, hiding a look of disdain. She spoke in a weak voice. "Then I leave it all to you." "I'm so exhausted." Livius acted as if he had been injected with doping. He immediately called the shareholders to convene an emergency meeting tomorrow morning to elect a temporary manager. He didn't realize at all that in the hospital room, the motionless Alexander suddenly peeked with one eye to look at him, his gaze as sharp and cold as the scythe of the Grim Reaper. The next morning, the boardroom of the Thompson Group was packed, the atmosphere as tense as a drawn string. Livius sat in the chairman's chair that originally belonged to my mother. He cleared his throat and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, as you all know, my son Alexander unfortunately met with an accident, and his current health does not allow him to continue managing. My wife has also fallen ill due to excessive grief. In this urgent situation, I ask for permission to temporarily represent the family and steer this ship. I hope for your support." The shareholders looked at each other and whispered. Most of them had been bribed or threatened by him beforehand, so they nodded in agreement. He was visibly triumphant, preparing to pick up his pen to sign the meeting minutes when the boardroom door suddenly swung wide open. A deep, powerful voice boomed, "Wait a moment, who gave you permission to sit in that chair?" Everyone turned to look, and was so stunned they couldn't believe their eyes. Alexander, the man who, according to the doctor, was in a coma and paralyzed, was standing tall right at the doorway. Beside him were me and second brother Julian. The eldest brother walked into the room with a strong, decisive gait, showing no sign of being injured. He walked straight up to Livius, looked at him with contempt and said, "Father, did you hope I was paralyzed that much? What a pity I've disappointed you. That car with the cut brakes, I've already handed it over to the police for forensics. Do you want to hear the results?" Livius's face turned white as a sheet. He stammered, You're okay?" "The doctor said." Alexander laughed coldly. "The doctor? He was someone you bribed, but I paid him double to lie. I just wanted to see, when I fell, who would be truly heartbroken and who would clap and celebrate. And the results are quite interesting, aren't they, Vice President Miller?" The entire boardroom erupted in shock, and the shareholders immediately flipped to criticize Livius for plotting to harm his son to seize power. My mother walked in slowly at this point, her queenly aura radiating intensely. She threw a stack of documents onto the table in front of Livius and said, "This is evidence of you embezzling corporate funds over the past year to support your mistress and hidden child outside. And this is the DNA test result for you and Nina, showing a 99.9% match. Do you have anything else to deny? You said she was the child of a benefactor. A benefactor in bed, perhaps?" Livius tremblingly held the test paper. He knew everything was completely exposed. He looked around for an escape route, but second brother Julian blocked the door, cracking his knuckles and smiling. "Where do you think you're going, father? Stay here and explain things clearly. I haven't even settled the score for you condoning your precious daughter's framing of my sister for pushing her down the stairs yet." At this moment, Nina rushed into the room from somewhere, still unaware of what was happening. Seeing her father surrounded, she lunged in, crying and acting. "You're bullying my father. My father did everything for this family. Sister Aurea, why are you so cruel? You instigated everyone to harm father, didn't you?" I looked at the girl overacting and felt disgusted. I stepped up and gave her a slap that sent her face reeling. I had been suppressing this slap since my previous life. I growled, "Shut your mouth, you bastard. It's not your turn to speak here. Who do you think you are? A Miller, miss? Wake up from your dream. You're just a pawn in his hands. Do you know he planned to sell you off to a 60-year-old man for business capital?" Nina clutched her cheek and stared at Livius in shock. His evasive gaze confessed that it was all true. She let out a cry of pain and lunged at Livius, scratching and tearing at him. The chaotic scene in the boardroom made everyone shake their heads in weariness. The model family collapsed in an instant. Alexander signaled the guards to drag the father and daughter out. His voice was ice cold. "As of today, Livius Miller is fired from all positions and expelled from the Miller household. All assets in his name will be frozen for investigation." The second battle was a resounding victory for us, but I knew that a wounded beast is the most dangerous kind. Livius would not give up that easily. He still had other trump cards. And more importantly, my 18th birthday was approaching, the time when, in my previous life, he had murdered me. I had to prepare myself for the final battle, the life and death struggle to end all these grudges. Time flew by, and soon it was my 18th birthday. That fateful day which, in my previous life, was the day of my death. Ever since Livius and Nina were kicked out, my family's life seemed to have entered a new chapter filled with laughter and happiness. My mother regained her status as a powerhouse woman, steering the corporation to grow ever stronger. Alexander, after his miraculous resurrection, became the terror of the business world with the nickname Cold-Faced Demon. Meanwhile, second brother Julian also focused on work, throwing away all his games to follow the eldest brother and learn management. As for me, the eldest Miss Aurea Miller, I was pampered by the whole family like a fragile egg, living in luxury and boundless love. But deep in my heart, a vague sense of unease always existed. I knew Livius and Nina were still lurking somewhere out there. Desperate people often do the craziest things, and my intuition told me today's birthday would not be peaceful. My coming-of-age party was grandly organized at a 7-star luxury hotel, the most elite in New York. Guests poured in and out, all high-profile figures. I wore an evening gown encrusted with thousands of sparkling diamonds, standing beside my mother and 2 brothers to welcome guests. A radiant smile was on my lips, but my eyes constantly scanned the hall for any abnormal signs. My mother seemed to sense my anxiety. She squeezed my hand and whispered, "Don't worry, daughter. Security is at its maximum today. Not even a fly can get through. Just enjoy yourself." However, life isn't always like a dream. When the party was at its climax, the stage lights went out, leaving only the flickering candles on a massive 7-tier cake. I closed my eyes and folded my hands in prayer when suddenly a loud explosion echoed, shaking the entire building. Shrieks of terror rang out everywhere, the fire alarm wailed, and black smoke began to billow from the main entrance. In the chaos, a group of people dressed in black with masked faces stormed in, holding shining weapons. Their leader was none other than Livius. But now he no longer looked like the dignified man of the past. He was gaunt and haggard like a hungry ghost, his bloodshot eyes filled with ultimate madness. Beside him was Nina, her hair disheveled, her clothes tattered, holding a large canister of gasoline. Livius held a megaphone and shouted, "Everyone stay still! Anyone who moves, I'll blow this place up. I've planted bombs all over the building. Today, I came here to take back what belongs to me, or else all of you will die with me." The guests huddled in a corner in fear. My mother and 2 brothers immediately stood in front of me, forming a solid human wall. Alexander stepped forward coldly, his voice remarkably calm. "What do you want? Money or lives? Do you think you can escape like this? The police are surrounding the outside." Livius laughed manically. "Ha ha ha! The police? I'm not afraid. I've lost everything. Lost the company, lost my honor, had to beg on the streets. It's all because of you, mother and children. Today I want that little girl Aurea to die. It's her. It's her crow's mouth and those damn thoughts that ruined all my plans. I know it all. I watched the cameras from that day again. I saw the way you looked at each other. You can hear her inner thoughts, right? You bastards. You ganged up to trick me." I felt a cold shiver. It turned out he wasn't as stupid as I thought. He had realized the secret of my inner voice. Livius charged forward madly, clutching a sharp dagger. Nina splashed gasoline all over the floor and flicked a lighter, threatening to set it on fire. In this hair-thin situation, second brother Julian was about to lunge to restrain him, but Livius was faster, grabbing a nearby female guest as a hostage and holding a knife to her throat, screaming, "I said stay still! Aurea, you step out here and follow me to the rooftop. I want to recreate that beautiful scene I've dreamed of every night. I'll throw you down from the highest floor so you're smashed to bits. Only then will I be satisfied." I looked at the innocent woman trembling under his blade, then at my mother and brothers who were extremely worried. I knew I couldn't hide anymore. This was a grudge between him and me. I had to end it myself. I took a deep breath, stepped out from the protection of my family and said firmly, "Fine, I'll go with you. Release her. Don't harm an innocent person." My mother screamed, "No, Aurea. Don't listen to him, he's crazy." But I turned back to look at her, smiling reassuringly. "Mum, trust me. I'm no longer the stupid little girl of the past. I'll be fine." Then I walked step by step toward Livius, my eyes firm and without a trace of fear. He cackled and dragged me roughly toward the elevator leading to the rooftop. Nina trailed behind, still clutching the lighter, leaving behind a chaotic hall and the desperate gazes of my family. On the windy rooftop, the New York night wind was bone-chillingly cold, but not as cold as the killing intent radiating from my former father. He shoved me, making me stumble near the edge of the railing. Below was the dark abyss of the urban night, the car lights as tiny as ants. This feeling, this scenery, why was it so familiar and terrifying? Memories of the previous life rushed back, suffocating my heart, but this time I didn't cry or beg. I stood up, brushed the dust off my dress, looked him straight in the face and said, "Do you think killing me will get you everything back? You're wrong. You'll only receive the death penalty and eternal curses." Livius growled, "I don't care, I just want you dead. You're a jinx. I've hated you since you were born. Why weren't you a son? Why are you smarter than my daughter Nina?" "I hate you," Nina, standing beside him, chimed in. "That's right. Drop dead. You have everything. Beauty, wealth, being loved. What about me? I have to live in hiding, despised by people, as a bastard. Today I'll burn your body to ashes." With that, she intended to throw the lighter into the pool of gasoline she had just poured around me. But the moment the flame was about to erupt, a dry bang tore through the night. The lighter in Nina's hand flew away. Her hand splattered with blood. She screamed in pain and collapsed. From the darkness of the staircase, Alexander and Julian stepped out like gods. In the eldest brother's hand was a silenced pistol, gun smoke still lingering at the barrel. He said coldly, "Who gave you permission to touch my sister? I've put up with you long enough." Seeing the situation reverse, Livius fell into extreme panic. He grabbed me, intending to embrace me and jump down together to die. He howled, If I die, everyone dies. But I was one step faster. I used all my might to channel all my hatred into the heel of my sharp stiletto, stomping hard on his foot while simultaneously delivering a thunderous elbow strike to his stomach. He let go in agony, staggering backward. Right then, a strong gust of wind blew past. He lost his balance and slipped backward over the railing. His hands flailed in the air, trying to grasp something, but in vain. His shrill scream lasted for a moment, then faded into the air. I rushed to the railing and looked down, seeing only a black shadow falling into the endless night. The life of a greedy, cruel man ended exactly as he had done to me in my previous life. Karma arrives late, but it is always fair and brutal. Seeing her father fall, Nina was so terrified she fainted on the spot. The police swarmed in to secure the scene. Everything ended as quickly as a nightmare. I sat down on the rooftop floor, my whole body shaking from adrenaline and the fear I had just experienced. My mother rushed over and hugged me tightly, her tears wetting my shoulder. She sobbed, "My child, are you okay?" I was so scared I thought I lost you again. Big brother and second brother also knelt down to hug the two of us, forming an inseparable bond. The eldest brother stroked my head, his voice warm and full of love. "Well done, Aurea. You were very brave. I'm sorry for being late." Second brother was both crying and laughing. "My sister is truly a martial arts master. That kick just now was beautiful. From now on, I'll have to call you Great Sister." I looked at the beloved faces surrounding me, a warm feeling spreading through my heart, melting away all the ice of hatred. I smiled weakly, a final thought echoing in my head. Asterisk. It's over, everyone. I love you all so much. Thank you for always believing in and protecting me. Surprisingly, my mother suddenly looked up at me and said affectionately, "I love you too. We all love you. And you know what? Actually, from the very first day you were reborn, Mum and your brothers heard everything you thought. We just pretended not to know to coordinate the acting with you. If you were going to act that well, the whole family had to act well too." My eyes widened in surprise. So I was the clueless one tricked by the whole family all along? I burst out laughing, my laughter mingled with happy tears echoing under the starry night sky of New York. A few months later, life returned to its peaceful rhythm. Nina, after waking up in the hospital, was diagnosed with schizophrenia, constantly rambling about being a princess and starting fires in her cell. She will spend the rest of her life in a psychiatric facility. As for Livius Miller's body, it was found mangled and unclaimed. Eventually, it was cremated and scattered at sea, erasing the traces of a sinful life. I officially took over the position of creative director of the corporation, joining my mother and brothers to build the Miller empire ever stronger. On weekend afternoons, our family often gathers for tea in the rose-filled garden, listening to second brother tell jokes, big brother discuss politics, and Mum talk about the old days. I sit there, sipping a fragrant cup of Earl Grey, watching the radiant smiles on my loved one's lips, and silently thank heaven for giving me this second chance. The story of the reborn Miss and her revenge has closed, but the journey of happiness for me, Aurea Miller, has only truly begun.